and welcome back to my channel. So I know I have a few new subscribers here on my channel. So hi and welcome everybody. My name's Romy. Welcome to my channel. As of today, I will be uploading videos 2 times a week. So I will be uploading some videos on conspiracies and life theories and all that good stuff. And then my other video would have beauty and lifestyle content. So it would be something for everybody. In today's video, I will be talking to you guys about MK Ultra. If you guys know what it is, or even if you don't, you want to stick around. It's gonna get good. Okay, so I know I had been mentioning that I love conspiracies and I had been wanting to do a video on conspiracies, and this will be my very first one. Although this is really not a conspiracy, this is something that has been actually been proven to be true, and that is MK Ultra, or also known as the CIA's mind control program. MK Ultra is honestly pretty spooky. I'm not saying that everything that I'm going to say in this video is true, because a lot of it is missing. A lot of the information is missing. It has been sent to US or American courts. Some of this information was also accessed through the Freedom of Information Act, as well as the CIA's own website. If you go on their website, there's also documents on there that have been declassified, and so you can view some of the documentation on there as well. For those of you that are skeptic about it, I'm telling you right now, it really happened, and it could possibly still be going on right now. We don't know. It could be under a different name for all we know. So I'll just be giving you guys a little background story on MK Ultra. So MK Ultra is better known as Project Monarch, or also as the CIA's mind control program. Now, so this video may be a little bit more serious toned because it is a conspiracy, or it is, you know, something that actually really did happen. And so yeah, it's gonna get serious. Let's get into it. MK Ultra started in the 1950s here in the United States, and it lasted for about 20 years. And it was not until 1953 that MK Ultra became an official government project, and it officially ended in 1973. And the reason why I think it only lasted 20 years, or so they say it only lasted 20 years, is because people started to catch on. The CIA would conduct all sorts of atrocious and just ridiculous experiments on their own US citizens, on human subjects. Newborn children, to elderly adults, to cancer patients, to jail inmates, to people that were hospitalized for various conditions. I mean, there was no limitation as to who was going to be experimented on. And what made these experimentations illegal is that the CIA would conduct these experiments on these, you know, citizens or human subjects without their consent. Most of the time, they didn't even know that they were being experimented on. Creepy, right? I know. You know, like in the movies when they show that, you know, somebody's held captive by another country, or in another country, they torture the person and they do all kinds of things to try to get information out of them. Well, the government's excuse was to do all these kinds of experiments and torture to humans to see how much they can withstand. So they used different types of experiments. Some of the main ones were that they would use LSD, better known as acid, and they would use very large doses of that drug in order to manipulate people's minds. And I mean, imagine, like, that's a hallucinogenic drug. Like, imagine how that makes you feel with just one dose. Like, imagine taking 8 to 10 to 16 to 20 doses. Like, that is sure to make a person go crazy. They also used hypnosis. They also did sensory deprivation and isolation and verbal and sexual abuse, as well as other forms of of psychological and physical torture. So MK Ultra was done in over 80 institutions located all throughout the US. And that included 44 colleges and universities, as well as hospitals and prisons and pharmaceutical companies. They were all in on this. And for the most part, they all knew what was going on, but some of them, it was rare that they didn't know exactly what kind of experiments they would be doing, but still, I mean, they partook. They had something to do with MK Ultra and the experiments that they did on their US citizens. There's not a lot of information on MK Ultra. A lot of it was destroyed when it came to a halt back in 1973. So this video may sound like it's just bits and pieces, but that's just because that's what it is. Like, there's just bits and pieces here and there. There's not a lot of information on it. Was it true? Did it happen? Yes. They did destroy a lot of the information, so a lot of it is not readily available. So I tried my best to find all kinds of information on this, but it was nearly impossible because there's not a lot. So I'm just gonna read this straight off of the website. It says, as the US Supreme Court later noted, MK Ultra was, and I quote, concerned with the research and development of chemical, biological, and radiological materials capable of employment in clandestine operations to control human behavior. The program consisted of some 149 sub-projects, which the agency, the CIA, contracted out to various universities, research foundations, and similar institutions. At least 80 institutions and 185 private researchers participated. Because the agency, or the CIA, funded MK Ultra indirectly, many of the participating individuals were unaware that they were dealing with the agency. MK Ultra also started because the US government believed that other countries such as China and Russia were already conducting these kinds of experiments on their own citizens. So the good old US of A's government did not want to be left behind. So they said, you know what, we need to start conducting these ourselves because we need to be a step ahead of everybody else. And this was during the Cold War era when this all started. The way that other US citizens, or the way that the world found out about MK Ultra, or that the CIA was doing this mind control program, is that in 1975, the Church Committee of the United States and President Gerald Ford both commissioned to start investigating the CIA and their activities within the US. However, in 1973, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered that all MK Ultra Project Monarch documentation be destroyed. And so that is why there's hardly any information available. There are a few documents that have been declassified, and they are posted on the CIA's website, and I will link that down below for you guys. But other than that, there's not much info on it. And in 1977, the Freedom of Information Act requested to uncover a cache of 20,000 documents into Project MK Ultra, which then later led on to a hearing by the Senate. Of all the documents that Richard Helms destroyed, only a few of them remained, which are the ones that are now posted on the CIA's website. So nowadays, there are several movies and just several artists in general that people relate to the Illuminati and to MK Ultra. In regards to the Illuminati, I'm not saying that it's true or that it's real, because to be quite honest with you, I'm pretty terrified of it. But there is definitely a higher power other than, you know, the man upstairs watching over all of us. And even as I'm doing this video with you guys right now, like, I have this like eerie feeling. So MK Ultra, a lot of you might know this, but the new series on Netflix, Stranger Things, it is somewhat related to MK Ultra. So if you've seen that, then you kind of get a pretty good idea as to how MK Ultra worked. We all know that 11, the main character, she has, you know, some telekinesis powers and supernatural powers. And she was submerged in the sensory deprivation tank, which is a tank that she goes into that's filled with water. And in there, she's able to kind of recollect and to think and to kind of process and get into other people's minds in order to control their behavior and in order to control the way that they do things. And Stranger Things really was referring to MK Ultra at the beginning of the show. I don't know if you remember, but Officer Cooper, I think is his name, he tries to uncover who 11 calls Papa, the scientist or the doctor, and it says on there that he was a part of the agency that had to deal with MK Ultra. So 11 is definitely part of the CIA's mind control program with Stranger Things. Another good movie that I like that has to do with MK Ultra is called The Manchurian Candidate, and I like the newer version. Well, newer version, the one with Denzel Washington. That is a good movie. You'll also kind of get a good idea as to what MK Ultra does or did or is. In that movie, they create a sleeper assassin, which is somebody that is mind controlled to kill people, and once they kill that person, they just snap back into who they normally are and they have no recollection of what just happened. So I recommend that movie if you guys are interested in knowing more about MK Ultra. And even though MK Ultra was shut down in 1973, a lot of people still believe that it is still going on, maybe under a different name or a different program. But a lot of people now think that a lot of our well-known celebrities, such as Kanye West, for example, or Beyonce, are part of the MK Ultra mind control. It is said to believe that these artists are manipulated themselves to, you know, kind of express themselves or conduct themselves in a way that people would follow them. And if you think about it, Kanye West, Jay-Z, and Beyonce have the biggest following in the music industry. And their music is shit. It is trash. So how come all these people follow them? Like, it makes you think, like, are they really part of the Illuminati? Are they really part of this mind control group where they themselves are mind controlled and, you know, they expose them out there to large amounts of people and try to kind of send out their subliminal messages and to do all kinds of crazy stuff? The most recent thing was when Kanye had that mental breakdown a few months ago. Everybody claimed that, you know, oh, you know, he's in the mental institution. He's about to get lobotomized, or he's about to get reprogrammed. And I kind of believe it. I kind of want to say that it's true. So yeah, it's crazy. I said that their test subjects ran from anywhere from newborn infants to elderly people. They also tested on cancer patients. They mostly tested on cancer patients. On people that they knew would not make it past these experiments, because some of these experiments were so potentially deadly that they decided to test on cancer patients. They would test on insane. So the weirdest thing just happened. Like, I was recording and it just stopped. This is scary. So according to these documents and to these court rulings, it is said that the CIA spent roughly about $10 million US to go ahead and go forward with these experimentations, all for the purpose of MK Ultra mind control. The LSD experiments were mainly done on mental patients, on prisoners, on drug addicts, and prostitutes. So basically anybody that could not fight back, in other words. There was a case in Kentucky where LSD was administered to a mental patient for 174 days. 174 days. Imagine that. Giving a mental patient LSD for 174 days. That is insane. They were usually administered without that person's consent. And not only did they use LSD, I mean, that was the most popular one that they would give in large doses, but they would also use other drugs. They would also inject a barbiturate into the subject's arm, and then they would inject acetaminophen into the other arm of the person. And so the barbiturate was injected first, and as the person would fall asleep, then they would release the acetaminophen into the other arm. And doing that would cause the person to just babble and just kind of go crazy for a while. Administering those drugs would kind of be possible to ask the person questions and to get answers, or sometimes even forced confessions, which is really what it was all used for. Casualty count is unknown because, like I said, a lot of the documentation was destroyed. From what we know, the one that is mostly known is of Frank Olson. Frank Olson was a biochemist, a biological weapon researcher, and he worked for the US Army back in that time, which was in 1953. And after his passing, the autopsy revealed that Mr. Olson died from a large dose of LSD. His family claims that the CIA had something to do with his death, because days before his death, Mr. Olson had resigned from a special operations division out in Maryland. He quit because he was concerned about assassination materials that the CIA was conducting, and as well as experimentation and biological weapons in populated areas. He also knew that the CIA had joined forces with some Nazi scientists, which I can get into that if you guys want to know more about that. It's called Project Paperclip, has a lot to do with the CIA recruiting Nazi scientists and biochemists and transferring them into the United States after ending the war with Hitler. And that is like a whole different story that I can totally get into. If you guys are interested, let me know down below. So in 1994, Mr. Olson's family, which is mainly his son and his daughter, they exhumed his body for another autopsy and for further reports, because according to the CIA, Mr. Olson had just fallen off I don't know how many stories from his hotel room, which caused his death. But then it later came out that he had actually died from ingesting a very large dose of LSD within 20 minutes. So something went wrong with him. Something was not right that caused him to jump off his hotel room, causing him to obviously die instantly. And another kind of wishy-washy part about all this is that in 1975, the Olson's family received a settlement from the US government and apologies from President Gerald Ford for the amount of $750,000. Why would they settle, and why would he apologize if the CIA had absolutely nothing to do with it, right? And in November of 2012, the Olson family went back into the court system to file a wrongful death lawsuit against the US government for their father's death. And there are various MKUltra survivors. The most popular one, her name is Cathy O'Brien. Her and her daughter Kelly were rescued from Project MKUltra, and nowadays she does conferences and speeches all throughout the US giving her testimony and her story. Her story, you guys, is definitely incredible, and she also has a book out. It's called The Transformation of America. Her book is insane. I recently read her book this past summer, and I have to say, it took me quite a few months to finish reading the book, because I would read it and some of the stuff on there is just way too much to handle. So I strongly recommend it. It definitely opened up my eyes to a lot of stuff, but it is a very strong book. And there's also a kind of a famous American radio host, fashion model. Her name is Candy Jones, and she also claims to be an MKUltra survivor. There's plenty of other ones. All you have to do is research it, but those are the most popular ones. And a lot of people tie MKUltra to a lot of the of the US government conspiracies or assassinations that we've had in recent years, the most popular one being JFK's assassination. A lot of people believe that MK Ultra was used to assassinate President Kennedy, that Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy, as he claimed himself to be, somebody who was set up, somebody who was kind of a sleeper assassin kind of thing. Kind of like that movie. Go back and watch it, you guys. I definitely recommend it, The Manchurian Candidate. If you see that and if you put JFK's assassination together, you can totally piece it together. And again, like I said, there's not a lot of information in this video. It may sound a little bit choppy and kind of like it's missing pieces, and that's because it totally is. Not a lot of information is readily available, and like I said, a lot of the declassified documents are listed on the CIA's website. I will put that link down below as well, and there are tons of songs and books and movies and TV shows that relate to MK Ultra, and if you think about it, it just kind of makes you question, like, what is real and what is not? Like, who is under mind control, who is not? Because mind control is definitely true. And it's happened before, and I wouldn't doubt that it's still happening right now. So that is it for today's video, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. I did say on Facebook that I am having a giveaway here on my channel. All you have to do is subscribe. I will be giving away a very special Too Faced chocolate bar eyeshadow palette to one very lucky person, and I will do that as soon as I reach 1,000 subscribers. If you want to see more videos like this one, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. I look like an alien.